Welcome to the Brand Lincoln Podcast, the show where we dig into the stories behind Lincoln's most inspiring business owners and influential people. It's where big ideas and even bigger personalities collide. Proudly sponsored by Perch Merch, your one-stop shop for screen printing, embroidery, and promotional products that make your brand unforgettable. Call us at 402-217-5212 or visit us at perch-merch.com to give your business the glow-up it deserves. And don't just listen, be a true multitasker. Like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And check us out on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Brand Lincoln Podcast. We're basically everywhere you waste your time. Let's get inspired, Lincoln. The stories start now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln. I am your host, Chris Beecham, joined by my co-host, Henry Schmidt.
Hello, Chris.
And Joe Cruz.
Hello, everyone.
So today in the Perch Merch studio, we have Cesar Guerrero of Luxury Comfort Solutions.
Correct.
Is that still the full name?
It is.
What is Comfort? Luxury Comfort Solutions.
So basically, when I started the company, 13 years ago this month, it was luxury heating and air is how I started the business. That's obviously my background is heating and air. About 6 years later, I started a radon company, and I didn't really want to start another name. So I did luxury heating and air plus radon solutions. I'm like,
Sorry, a what company?
Radon?
It's all the bad stuff in the ground.
Yep. So I had just added the plus radon solutions, just thinking that it would end there. About a year later, I started a home inspection business, and I'm like, holy crap, when is this going to end?
Yeah, you're getting into a long
Heating and air,
long
and
logo.
radon.
Yeah, it was just going to
Say
get
it
forever.
more.
So my wife's very big in the marketing side. She was like, okay, you can't do this. But if we're going to do this now, we need to rebrand whatever we need to do. So we started looking up different things. And honestly, between, I think, my kids and my wife, we ended up, and of course, thanks to GoDaddy, trying to find an email domain, whatever that works, we came up with Luxury Comfort Solutions just because it gives you the solutions for everything for your home. So then gladly we did that because about 2 years later, 3 years later, we started an electrical company. And then just here, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago now, we started a plumbing company. So
So you're at like six total services?
correct. So yeah. So luckily we did that change back in those days just because hopefully that's it. Let's put it that way. So
Okay, let's go way back
Holy
then.
smokes.
You said that HVAC is where you kind of came from.
yep, correct.
How, when, why?
Honestly, it was more of my dad was telling me to get off my ass. I went to the Marines after high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a full scholarship ride for tool and die making.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Tool and die. It's kind of
You were making dice?
Yeah, so it was like almost machine dies. So like, all these machinery places have these lathes and mills, but they have a die that die will make whatever cast of what you're doing.
Oh,
So you pour a hot liquid in there
Yeah.
and it comes out solid,
And those
right?
dies, yep. So I actually had several awards in high school for tool and die making. And
You were just really into that at the age of 16?
it's weird.
We're going to go back even for, okay.
Yeah.
I want to know more about this.
So in high school, yeah. So basically, I had a shop class, and they had like a machine shop class. So they taught you how to use lathes and mills and all that stuff. And there was awards there was like actually contests you could enter.
What kind of high school did you go to?
yeah.
Lincoln High.
Lincoln High?
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't have that at
I
Pius.
didn't have that. We had
Yeah.
to bring our own machine in and take it apart.
Bring our
Yeah.
sawzall, yeah.
No, so honestly, I actually got into it, and my teacher, I was actually really good. I won several contests where you have to make either like a hammer or something like that, and you have to get it within like 100,000ths of an inch. And I won like 2 or 3 in Lincoln in high school.
You made the best hammer and
I guess basically, yep. I used to make mostly pipes, like for all my friends.
Yeah, you could sell it. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little side
And
business
I used
there.
to make them out of brass and make keychains, but I had to reverse thread them, so you could unthread them and then put them back the other way, and they would actually be a pipe. But my teacher never knew. He thought I was just making really cool brass keychains.
Yeah, that's genius.
Yeah, I started making like little pipes for all my friends out of brass, and my teacher never knew because I was reverse threading them. Though you could reverse them back the other way and make a pipe out of them.
Oh, my God.
So, but he actually got me a job working at Cushman Industries during high school. They're obviously out of business now, but God, I was making like $17 an hour in high school, which is really good money.
Yeah,
Smokes, yeah.
especially back
even
then.
now
back
it's
then.
Even
okay.
now, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad. So And then about 2 weeks prior to graduating school, Cushman Industries went out of business. And they had offered me a full-time gig, though, working like, I think I was going to make like $30 an hour out of high school.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, thought I was set. I was planning on going there. And then they had a big layoff, and all of a sudden they closed down the shop. And I literally didn't know what I wanted to do. My teacher got me a job working at TMCO. Ever heard of TMCO?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they're still around quite a bit. And then during that time, honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I was like, I knew enough that I had worked in machine shops enough that it's basically working behind like a machine. It's almost like a factory. And it's a big metal machine. It just smells like metal. It smells like coolant, like metal coolant. I was like, I just don't want this for the rest of my life. And so a buddy of mine came to me one day. He was like, hey, man, let's go to the Marines, join the buddy program. And I'm like, sure. Why not?
I got nothing going on the rest of the afternoon.
Why haven't we done that, Joe?
That's
Right?
We should have thought of that.
yeah.
No, but prior to that, actually,
I didn't have a
I had
buddy.
just broken up with my girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now. We had just broken up in like 2 weeks prior to high school ending. And again, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, screw it. I left to the Marines. So, and then we actually got back together, like right before I left the boot camp.
Oh,
So
my gosh.
fast forward, I came back from the Marines. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had enough money saved up so I could just kind of hang out for a couple, 2-3 weeks. And honestly, just slept in, man. Just kind of, I was tired of military life. And one day my dad's like, yep, it's time for get a job. I contacted a buddy of mine working at Lincoln Auto Detailing. And he got me a job there. Literally on day one, I got a job detailing cars. Around lunchtime, my dad calls me. He's like, hey, I got you a job. And I'm like, I just started a job today. He was
So you're 4 hours into your new job, and you're gonna quit.
Yep, so I ended up quitting that same day. 'Cause my dad told he was working at Greens at the time, and literally the next day I started at Greens, and actually I was just a delivery guy for about 2 weeks, just delivering water heaters, furnaces, whatever, and eventually I started getting into the plumbing side a little bit. Started doing plumbing, started installing some water heaters and stuff like that, helping out, and then Greens got really slow on the plumbing side, but the heating side was really busy. And they decided to like just switch me over, so they laid me off. And they said it was very temporary for a couple, 2-3 months until the plumbing got busy again. About a year went by, and finally they came back to me and said, hey, you ready to come back to plumbing? I was like, not really. You can learn a lot in 1 year. And just kind of stuck from there. So, and then honestly, I've been doing heating and air since basically 1999 or something like that, 1988. And then about
a few years of experience.
Yep.
So at what point did you decide, F it, I'm going out on my own. I'm going to start my own.
Honestly, man, I never wanted my own business.
Okay.
I didn't have the drive for it. I didn't want it. My wife had a pretty successful photography business in Lincoln, so I saw how many hours she was working.
We can give a shout out to Paula. We love
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Paula. Yeah. So we basically after the Marines, we ended up getting married, had kids, and all that stuff. She started a photography business in Lincoln, and it kind of blew up. She was probably one of the biggest photographers here in Lincoln, and I was basically her prop guy. Every time she needed props, I was the guy that did it. And again, I made good money doing the heating and air. I was making $35 an hour doing heating and air, which is still good money.
Yeah.
And but I was always the head guy for every place that I worked at. I moved around a little bit to try to get different experience and stuff like that, but I was always the lead guy for everywhere I went. Finally, the last place that I worked at before I started the company, I don't want to throw names out, whatever, but it just the guy just seemed like he was about himself and about the business. A lot of empty promises, would always tell me like, hey man, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to get you this. I'm going to send you on this vacation, all this stuff. And it was just more, and he would never give. And again, I heard it all throughout the years, but eventually it just eats you up. And I'm like, just honestly, I would prefer if you just don't promise me shit. Just tell me, like, you know what? I'll pay you a good wage. You're good to go. Cool. I'd rather not hear a damn thing. So towards the end of it, I had enough clientele that was coming to me to doing, basically, they were like
side jobs, kind of?
Well, not even kind of side jobs. I was doing a lot of side jobs for a long time, but eventually those side jobs turned into actually real customers that actually were doing a lot of work. So I was bringing the company probably anywhere between $1 to $2 million a year, and that wasn't getting anything out of it. So towards the end there, the owner of the business basically started kind of screwing my own clients around, and then they started leaving, which kind of sucks when you build a relationship.
You hear about it.
Yep. So and then towards the very end there, he actually came to me one day. He was like, hey, I noticed a lot of your clients are kind of gone. Would you mind going to talk to one of them very specific? he's like, see if we can get back in the door with them. And I'm like, sure, I'll go talk to them. He was like, well, your 40's up at noon on Friday. He said, you want to go over there afterwards? And I'm like, did you just ask me to go over there on my own time?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, your 40's up at noon. And I was like, I'm asking you again. Are you asking me to go over there on my own time? He's like, oh, yeah, you'll be done working. Right there.
Yeah, that's not work, right?
No, honestly, man, that was the snapping point.
Yeah.
That was the snapping point.
You asked him twice.
Yeah, I asked him twice and gave me the same answer twice. And honestly, man, up to that point,
And he didn't even think that was a bad thing to ask.
Nah.
Like, oh my God.
he was just that type of guy. And that minute, I knew that I was done. I knew that I was like, I'm done working for somebody. I don't ever want to work for anybody again. If I'm going to bring $1 million, $2 million worth of work, I might as well keep it for myself. I might as well do it for myself. And I went there that Friday afternoon.
After you're 40.
After my 40.
After you're clocked out.
Yep. And I went over there and said, hey, man, by the way, I'm starting my own business. And,
You're my first client.
Yeah. And they were like, cool, that's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
literally from there, I started basically putting everything together on the backside.
Did you ever show back up to work? Did you put in a 2 weeks, or did you just quit on the spot?
Actually, no. So back in those days, I was completely brain dead about computers. I didn't know shit.
He said, how'd that meeting go? He's like, it went great.
It went great, but my wife was really afraid of me touching the computer. Like, I mean, at that time, I was a heating and air guy. I wasn't very big into computers. I just kind of left it alone. So she was like, I think it's okay. We start your own business, but can we please go to like SEC and start like a basic computer class? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. So I wasn't honestly going to start the business in maybe like 6 months, but I was just going to prep all along, get everything ready. Well, I ended up bidding on a project against that own company, and I ended up getting it. It was like $250,000 project. And at that time, I had to keep everything silent. My name was out there, everything.
So your current employer didn't know that, one, you were bidding, and two, that you won
Yeah.
a $250,000 bid?
Yep. Which it's enough of a start to go.
That's a good start.
That's a great start.
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
But the problem is that my name was going to be announced.
Yeah.
That I got the project. So this 6 month long, like, hey, let's start the business 6 months, turned into I got to put my 2 weeks in now. So because he was going to find out who Luxury Heating and Air was at the time, because it was going to be announced who won the bid, who the owner was, and all that stuff. And my name was actually going to be announced in the paper as a new LLC business as well. And I knew that he read the paper as well. So I didn't have a choice but to basically, I put my 2 weeks in. He was completely freaked out. And he asked me, tell me what money you want, whatever. And
yeah, where are you going? What do you...
And I told him, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I didn't tell him anything. I was like, hey, I don't know what I want to do. I was like, I just know I need to move on. I gave him a month is what I gave him. But even then, basically on day 2, when I started my company, I hired my first full-time guy because I didn't have a choice. But between then...
Did you hire him from that?
Nah, it was somebody else. But between that, my wife and I had basically written like a 10-year goals. So my 5-year goal was to have one employee.
And you did it in 48 hours?
Yeah. Yep. My 10-year goal was to have 2 full-time employees.
I'm starting to see
40
why
hours
you
a week.
have like 6 different businesses
Yeah,
now
yeah.
all rolled into one.
So basically, that's kind of how it started. And it wasn't because I wanted to. It was because I got pushed to that point. And I finally just snapped, and it was kind of, I mean, honestly, it's been crazy. I mean, obviously it's worked out. I think my 5 years, I think I had 22 employees, I think. And then at my 10 years, I think I had 39.
Wow.
So you exceeded your expectations a little bit.
A little bit.
Did you finish that $250,000 project?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. And by that time, I think at month 2, I think I hired another guy. And then every month I was hiring a guy. It was just how busy we became. So,
That's awesome.
yep.
But I mean, you have created a very good name for yourself and your company, doing it all the right way.
Yeah.
So it's been fast, but it's been slow at the same time.
It's been, I mean, honestly, I've probably pumped the brakes as fast as I can because I could have grown a lot more by now. Easily, no problem.
I believe that.
The problem is, if you would have asked me 13 years ago, what my brain is telling me was going to be the hardest thing in business would be is finding the work. I'm like, how do I stay busy? How am I going to survive? How am I going to pay myself? That was the easy part. Honestly, I was turning down $100,000 jobs a month. No problem. It was the employees that kicked my ass. Finding a guy that would show up on time, that would even show up to Man, I've got stories galore. I mean, we could have
Same.
30 different podcasts on just stories about guys that I've hired.
That would be an interesting podcast.
Do you want-
we could do that
Chris, do you want one story? Can you pick one?
for me or him?
Him.
Man, I've got so many. I mean, I got a guy that came in just full road rash one day, and I was like, he was a dirt biker, so I assumed that he was out riding his bike
Over the weekend or something.
over the weekend, everything, and you know, he didn't say much. He was real quiet. I knew he had some backstories on the backside, baby mama drama, stuff like that, and come to find out, a couple of days later, man, I just started seeing some trucks driving around my building. Like, I was like, what the hell's going on? Eventually, I went and stopped one of them, and they were looking for this guy. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? Well, come to find out, I finally ended up talking to him, and basically, his wife was with another guy. He found out, he got mad, but the other guy was bigger than him, and hog-tied him and pulled him behind a truck down a gravel road.
What the hell?
Yeah. So that was the road rash. It wasn't dirt biking.
All right, that exceeded my expectations.
Yeah. Oh, I got a lot of them.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So yeah. So I had a talk with him. Of
You're like, you good?
yeah. Dude, I'm surprised. He showed up on Monday morning, no? Yeah, he was there at work.
Sorry,
You
late,
needed
boss.
somebody that would show up, you know?
Yep. But
Showing up.
just little things like that, man, it's just insane. But honestly, that's been probably the biggest thing about business has been the employees. And but I think Chris can relate. In the very beginning of business, man, if you got a pulse and you can walk through that door, there's a good chance you're going to get hired. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
You know, you're hoping and praying that, man, I hope he's got experience. I hope he's not an alcoholic. I hope he's not this. I hope he doesn't have any felonies, whatever it is. You know, in the very beginning, you just got to take what you get because you don't have much of a name yet. You don't have something to show. You don't have all the 401ks and all that stuff that everybody else does. And honestly, man, that was probably easily the first 8-9 years, probably still my biggest struggle. And I would get a good guy every once in a while, and then come to find out it wasn't as good as you thought it was, you know. And then they would leave. Sometimes they would leave for $1 or $2, and when they left, you're like, that's the end of the world. It sucks. You know, he's such a good dude. And then you find out that, holy shit, it was probably the best thing that ever happened because he was doing some crazy stuff on the backside that you're like, oh shit, no wonder we were either not doing this right or not doing, you know, certain things right. So the employees really has been probably the biggest challenge that I've had in the business. But the last maybe 3 or 4 years, and not much. We have such a good culture in the company that we probably get 1 to 2 guys a week that apply now. We get to basically go through and just pick whoever we want. So it's been really good. We have all the benefits and all that stuff that everybody else has now, all that stuff. But so the last few years has gotten better. Yep.
So, okay, so you first add radon. Like, where's that come from?
Oh shit. That was a buddy of mine. We're having a garage or having a cigar in my garage, and he's one of those guys too that's constantly thinking of a new business and all that stuff. And of course, at that time, I was getting to that point. I had that itch of like, all right, what else can I do? I don't consider myself a heating and air guy anymore. I consider myself a businessman. That's probably the thrill. That's what keeps me going. Because if I was to quit today doing what I'm doing, I'll open up another business tomorrow. I don't give a shit what it is. That's what I need. We were having a cigar in my garage, and he started kind of bullshitting with me. He was like, hey, man, what else can we start? Whatever. And I thought he was drinking too much or whatever. But all of a sudden, somehow, I think he mentioned radon, that he had seen a company, radon. He's like, what the hell is radon? We literally Googled it. We didn't know what even radon was. We Googled it. I think there was 2 companies in town that were doing it. We were like, well, that's not a lot of competition. So we kind of looked it up, whatever, and shit, by Monday, we had figured out how to start a different LLC. We basically, I had him get on a flight by Wednesday to go get certified for radon. I mean, we started jumping on it pretty quick.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally just a cigar and a whiskey, and we were like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, you're good on this plane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's how that started.
Okay. Did he work for you at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
Yep. So he worked for me at that time. He's moved on. He started his own business doing drywall now.
Oh.
But that was kind of
Radon to dry. Yeah, that makes sense.
Classic
that's kinda his
transition there.
background. But yeah, honestly though, I mean, it was just kind of whiskey idea we had in my garage of like, let's do this. And there wasn't a lot of competition.
And radon, you just go into the house and you take the little equipment boxes and set them up for 48 hours.
Yeah, that's the testing part of it. So we have these monitors that basically test for 48 hours, and it takes air samples on there. It's basically like it's build up of uranium underneath the house, and the rocks shift. When they shift, it creates radon. So Nebraska's the third highest state for radon. So we kind of figured we're like, well, it's got to be a good thing. But to mitigate it, so once you get the testing back, if it comes back high, then you have to mitigate it. You basically run a PVC pipe with a fan outside the house is what you do. So,
Gotcha. So that's what the radon side does.
Yep.
Everything start to finish.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. So, and at that time we were getting into a lot of real estate stuff, and that just made sense. Heating and air and radon.
Yeah.
And then of course everybody kept bugging us of like, when's home inspection company?
God, I was going to say, what were you drinking when
Yeah.
the home inspection?
No,
That's
honestly,
more of a margarita thing.
yeah, it is. But no, we actually did a show, a real estate show, and a buddy of mine that had been using as a home inspector forever. I kind of knew him through a BNI, and man, he was hating his job at that time, and he was like, "Hey, man, you want to have a drink?" And I'm like, "Cool." We were done drinking.
Every good idea.
I know, right?
Every good
After
idea.
whiskey, yeah. And we went and had a drink, and he was telling me he didn't really care for his job and this and this and this, and I was like, well, why don't we look at starting something? And he was like, seriously? And he was like, well, yeah, why not? So I brought him on board, and we started a home inspection business.
So does he still work for you?
No, he moved on too. Yeah,
Travel.
yeah, we'll leave that one up there.
Okay.
Yep. So he moved on, but
Okay, so then you're at home inspections.
yep. So we have several different home inspectors. We have radon guys and all that stuff now.
Wasn't there another thing?
No,
Electrical,
there's a couple more things. We're not done.
yeah.
Electrical is next, right? No.
Yeah.
Plumbing's next.
No, electrical's came
Yes.
first.
Plumbing's recent. Got it. Okay. Electrical. Yeah.
So electrical, we started that about a year and a half ago or so. A buddy of mine actually had an electrical business, and
And he wanted to get a drink.
he wanted to get a drink probably. No, he honestly, I think he was just kind of tired of doing all the backside stuff. You know, some guys are really good at the electrical part of it, and they're just not very good at the business side
Yeah,
of it.
just do the work.
And I think he was just tired of the business side of it. And he came over. He was my electrician that I would use for everything. So we kept him pretty busy all the time. So it just made sense to kind of bring him on board. And we brought him on board. And basically, he does all of our electrical and everything now, on top of everything that else comes in. We get a lot of electrical stuff for home inspections. Every time we do a home inspection, I mean, there's like some of the major things that we find is heating and air, electrical stuff, radon, obviously, but
It's all correlated.
yeah, it's all correlated. So it just made sense for us to bring that on. So yep.
And while you're there, you might as well do plumbing.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of this year. So yep, we've
Gosh.
been talking about it. Just obviously, plumbing, heating, and air just makes sense. We do quite a bit of commercial work as well, and it seems like we do get beat out sometimes by a package deal where it's the plumbing and heating and air together. The numbers just look better, and sometimes they can't get a plumbing number just by itself or a heating number by itself, but somebody comes in as a package. So we've lost a few jobs because of that. I'm like, all right, let's close that gap. So it just made sense to start a plumbing company.
It makes sense to hire you for all those things because
Yep.
it's gonna be faster.
Correct.
And you're only talking to
Smoother.
one person.
Yeah.
Yep. So
The subs aren't arguing with each other.
So yeah, we're pretty much a perfect fit for every realtor in town because they have to basically make one phone call and that's it.
Yeah.
Compared
And everybody's lazy today, so it works out perfect.
Works out pretty sick. Yep.
So what's next?
Painting.
Roofing.
Don't lie. You just said you can't help yourself.
I know we just started a rental business. Yeah, you know that one. Yeah. So that's the newest adventure that just started a couple months ago. So I figured I need to think about the future, and obviously real estate's always a good one. With the economy the way it is, the 401ks going up and down, and I'm like, well, let's get into some investments. So that's the newest thing. So yeah.
What is your vision for luxury comfort solutions in 5 years and 10 years?
Have one full-time employee.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, man, obviously you hear the rumors of every company in town's getting bought out. I think there's been 4 or 5 companies in town that have been bought out. And I know a lot of my employees are always scared about that. And I think there's, even when I hire somebody, they're like, hey, you're not looking to sell anything soon.
But that's where you see yourself in 10 years of just.
No, honestly,
Well,
I don't.
any dollar amount
Yeah.
at some point in time.
You know,
you
I
can't
don't,
say,
man. You know, the money doesn't matter.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't. Honestly, I come from a third world country. I do. I came here when I was 8 years old. I came here illegally. You know, I did it the wrong way, but I didn't have a choice. I'm from El Salvador, so at that time it's very gang infested. You know, my parents came here trying to get a better life for us. They left me when I was 1 year old, and they were trying to do everything the proper way through the proper channels and all that stuff, and paying all the money they need to pay, bring us here legally and all that stuff. About 8 years went by and not a damn thing happened. I mean, the process back then was just horrible to try to get your kids over here. So finally, my parents, in desperation of 8 years without seeing us, finally my dad was like, "Screw it, I'm going to do it." He went back. He went back legally because he was legal. He was a U.S. citizen. He went back to U.S. or to El Salvador and grabbed us, basically from El Salvador, and we came here illegally, crossing the river and all that stuff.
Oh
And
my gosh.
it took us about 3 weeks to get here, walking through deserts and
It's a long trip.
That's crazy.
Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
so yeah.
Do you remember that?
Everything. Yep. So I remember every bit of it. So that brings me to, I don't think I ever want to sell my business because I actually want to, I need to pay that forward. My parents did a lot for me and they gave up a lot. They risk a lot for us to come here. So I want to leave a legacy for my family. You know, we don't come from Lincoln. I'm not from Lincoln. My wife's from Lincoln. I want to leave something for my kids, and I would love to see Luxury Comfort Solutions be around for the next 100 years, 200 years
That's awesome. Yeah.
as a family business. So I don't want to sell out to anybody. I want it to be a legacy for my family.
Wow, that backstory really changes
Yeah.
your story when your dad told you to get off your butt and go
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
Is your dad still involved? He used to be around.
Yeah. My dad still
business.
works for me full time.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his role?
He's a warehouse manager basically.
Okay,
So yeah, he's, well, I wouldn't even call him warehouse manager. He mostly gives everybody shit all day.
You see him every day?
Every day.
Yeah.
Yep. So, he had somewhat retired when I started the business. He had a really bad back, and when I started, my dad's been riding my ass for 20 some years to start my own business. Literally a year after I started doing heating and air, he was like, "Start your own business." I'm like, "It's not that easy," and but he's been with me since day one. He's my oldest employee. He's been with me all along the way. So,
That's awesome.
yep. So that's, my employees are always scared that if I'm going to sell the business, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Got it. Not happening.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Cesar, here on our Brand Lincoln podcast, we like to find out what you like to do for fun, extracurricular things.
Curricular?
Curricular?
Curricular.
Yep.
I think that's how it's said.
Do it
Yeah,
again.
what do you
Say it
like?
again.
Extracurricular.
We all need a drink.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, what do you like to do for entertainment here in Lincoln?
Honestly, our big thing is probably travel. We probably travel more than we should. A lot of people give us shit for traveling, but
I do see you make 49er playoff or just games.
yeah, yeah,
It's 49er games. You're a big
Yeah.
49ers fan.
yeah. Honestly, locally, I love to golf. I'm not much of a golfer, but it's fun. I get out there and golf as much as I can. But my hobby's probably we travel with my wife a lot. Usually, we have a goal like every 2 months we try to go somewhere. Whether it's either like a 3 or 4 day weekend, just quick little short weekend. Everybody assumes, being business owners that, man, we have all the money in the world. We have this, we have all kinds of free time. We can take off whatever we want. Everybody doesn't realize that we work 7 days a week. Our brain never shuts off.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Chris knows that.
Even when you're on vacation, you're technically always
Exactly.
working.
So when these guys see me go home, they assume that, I get to have a free, fun life and spend all the money in the world and all that stuff. But I don't. I still go home and work on my computer at home and work on the weekends and all that stuff. So I figured if I'm going to work that hard, I figured I'm going to take every couple of months, go take a quick little trip somewhere 3-4 days a week, for 3 or 4 days or so. And we've kind of made a promise that we travel to, a couple, 2 or 3 different good destinations a year too. So now we take about 2-week vacations every once in a while. We've been going back to El Salvador recently quite a bit. So, but
You still have family down there then?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say probably 80% of my family's still down there.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
Oh.
but so we travel a lot. I mean, that's probably more of our hobby. Yeah, we probably travel more than everybody would probably assume that we do. But a lot of people give us a lot of shit. But you know what? Work hard, play hard.
Yeah,
Good
that's
for you.
right.
Like you said, you're working 7 days a week, not
Yeah.
40 hours either.
Yeah,
You've also
Your
been
40's done it
He's been
Tuesday.
doing this for a while. You know, you did your time.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that's kind of my fun thing. Is we try to travel, try to check out states. We love Mexico. I just got back from South Korea last week. So
Holy
yeah,
smokes.
it's been kind of crazy. So
How you picked there?
that was actually a free trip.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take it. We saw a lot of LG products, and LG sent us out there to go check out the factory, and
What was that like?
it was pretty sweet. It was,
You get a whole tour and everything?
yeah, it was like a 1 week trip. I mean, honestly, it was like a first class trip. They had everything was set up. I didn't have to go there with $1 at all. I mean, there was 5-star hotels, all the meals, everything were paid for. I mean, we're talking, it's Korean barbecue, so like everywhere you went, it was like incredible food.
Oh my god.
The culture was awesome. I mean, I would suggest anybody to go to South Korea. It's awesome.
Got it.
So yeah,
Did you get to go with your wife?
hell no.
Nice.
Now, no,
No, it's a business trip. She doesn't get to go.
It is a business trip. So yeah,
Like it, honey.
nah, you wouldn't like
You
it.
don't want to go. Long plane ride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not good food.
yeah. The plane ride sucked, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
It's good, dude.
Yeah,
Appreciate
great
you guys.
having you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.